Hello everybody. In this video, I'm going to show you what are the important chapters which should be included in your thesis. These are the basic chapters and very important chapters which you have to keep it. Apart from that, based on your supervisor's suggestion or based on the reviewers, that is the doctoral committee members or the reviewers who might give you some more suggestions to just include more chapters. But these are all the common chapters which should be there in every thesis. So let's start with the chapters. So the very first chapter. So I'm just talking about the chapter. So the very first chapter should be your introduction. As I discussed almost everything about introduction in the previous video, so that link I have shared in the description. So please check that. So what should be there in the introduction part? Okay, that is about what is your that is which area subject you have taken. For example, if you have chosen cancer prediction using a decision tree algorithms, then you have to write about what is a cancer. So complete at least 5 to 10 pages about a cancer prediction, and what is the technique you're going to use, that is a basic techniques like a decision tree or something like that, as in another 5 pages. And then you have to discuss what research problem you have defined, like identified, and what you're going to do to solve the problem. So that highlights you have to give, that should be there in the introduction part. Okay, so most of the universities will accept only 100 to 125 pages of thesis. So make sure that is before starting, that is you just make sure that how many pages of thesis it should be. So start writing that, and make sure that your introduction part should be at least 20 to 25 pages. And the next chapter should be your literature review. So the literature review part, where you should write about what are the literature reviews so far you have studied, and what is the view from the other authors and what you have done. So what you have done, you don't want to include in the literature review, provided you have to tell what are the various reviews you have included. So this should be probably from 15 to 18 pages. Okay, and you can also write you can create a table for this, like to compare, to show some comparison between the various authors. You can create a table. Okay, so for comparing the various important literature reviews. Okay, so this should be there as a second chapter. Let's go to the third chapter, that what you have to include in the third chapter, that is you have to start writing about your methodology. So what should be there in the methodology? So in the methodology, you should write about your research flow. So how you have what is the flow of your research? Okay, how your research will be flowing, and what method you have started. Like if you want to tell about the data collection method, you can write about the data collection method, whether you have did as an interview or a questionnaire method or anything like that. Okay, so that you can write. And then what tool you have used. Okay, that is a tool. If you have implemented any tool, you can write about the tool or the application or the software or anything else that is the tool implemented, or the software developed, or an application developed. Okay, so everything we can talk about here. There is a what methodology you have done, and that is for your problem area. Okay, in this you should also include some images. Okay, in images which is related to your methodology, since this chapter is completely about your research, so there should not be any copied images, that is a plagiarized images. Okay, so you have to draw your own image. You can use various drawing tools, but you have to write it. Okay, so include images and tables which are relevant for this chapter. You can draw the data, that is a table for data, that is to describe the data, and write about all about the data. So this about the third thing, which is a methodology. And the fourth chapter should be the results and discussion, where you have to write what is the result you got, and that is the obtained result. You should show the proof of the obtained result. Okay, so you should tell what is the result you obtain, and how suggest, like your how you are suggesting, or how you are um, confirming that your results are best. Okay, how you are comparing with the other previous author's work. Okay, and how we are telling that your tool or your that is your solution is efficient, why your solution is efficient, so that also you have to tell. That is what all about the fourth thing. And you have to discuss like which one you got the highest performance and which is not having the lowest performance, and what is the reason behind it. So all these things you can write it. And in the fifth chapter, you will be writing about the conclusion and the future scope. So this conclusion is not like a exactly the precise of all these chapters. Okay, the conclusion should tell what are all the important points, and what are the limitations you have faced, what are the challenges you have faced, and how this can be improvised. That the future scope should give some insights to the future researchers. And finally, you have to include the references. Usually the references will not come under the chapters. Okay, so the references, we will not be including this as a chapter, so you have to write the references. So this methodology you should write at least 10 to 15 pages. It may increase or decrease. Okay, like I'm just telling, a few universities will be allowing only 100 to 125 pages, so in that case you have to just concentrate on all these things. Results and discussion should be 15 to 20 pages, and the conclusion and future scope should be 3 to 2 to 4 pages. Fine. And the references, you have to include at least 100 references. Okay, and you have to segregate properly. That is based on the conference, that is a conference references. You can also include the book references. Okay, you can also include the journal references. Okay, so this all should be properly categorized, and you should follow the style, that is APA or IMLA style, so that you should follow properly. So this is basically about the chapters. So what are the chapters you have to include and the references. Apart from this, we have the other thing as well, that is the miscellaneous. I'm just writing like a miscellaneous, but it has to be there in every thesis. What is that? So we are going to see that before all these things, the very first paper. Okay, so that we have to include the certificates. Okay, so the certificates we have to include, and all about your bona fide. Okay, so bona fide certificate, and the plagiarism certificate, that you should tell that all these, and the publication certificate, that you should tell that all the publications are done by you. So bona fide certificate, you have to include publication certificate. And then abstract, you have to include the abstract, which should be of only 1 page, or it might be two pages. Okay, 1 to 2 pages. And then you have to write, you have to start you have to include the list of tables. Okay, list of images or figures. Okay, what are the list of tables and images and figures that you will be writing after. Okay, so this is a append, like a table of contents. Okay, so you should add the table of contents, list of tables, list of figures, list of images. And then you can give abbreviations. Okay, so what are the abbreviations you have? If you have like any other medical terms or any other short forms you have used, so you should also include these abbreviations. And at the last, that is after the references chapters, you have to include appendices. Okay, so appendices, for example, the data collection, if you have used a questionnaire method for data collection, so what are the questionnaire you have passed, you have used, or you have collected, that is a questionnaire template. Okay, if you have used it. Okay, questionnaire template, if you used it. Okay, and the other appendices, like if you want to show the complete program, so it is no better not to show the code, but you can do it at least a 10 page or a 12 pages. And then any other extra thing which you wish to add. Okay, so any extra documents you have to submit, you wish to submit. Okay, and also you can, in few universities they will ask you to keep the publication in the first page, that is after abstract. In few universities they will ask you to add it in the appendices, so in that case you can also add it in the paper publications and presentations. Okay, so this everything you should include. Apart from that, anything else which is suggested to you by your supervisor or your reviewers, so you have to include that too. Make sure that this everything are there. So the list of tables, what are all the tables which are there inside your main content, that is from the introduction until the conclusion part. Okay, so what are the tables you have, just write the table name and then give the page number. And also for the list of images, you have to include this as well, that is what are the images name, that is a caption of the image, and then the page numbers. Okay, and then abbreviations, what are the abbreviations you have. For this you don't want to give any page number, but probably you have to write the abbreviations, what are the abbreviations you have in the thesis, in your thesis. So this complete thing you should keep it. Okay, as I told, these are all the common chapters you should include. Even you may change the name of the methodology. Okay, instead of writing like methodology, you can write your original research problem name or research identification name. For example, if you are using a cancer prediction tool, so you can, instead of writing methodology, you can write cancer prediction tool to predict using a decision tree or your own algorithm, so that you can write it here. In few cases, like in few by a few supervisors or the reviewers, they may ask you to make this research flow alone as a separate chapter, and then data collection as a separate chapter, and the tools implemented as a separate chapter. So in that case, you have to segregate this according to the suggestions, but the overall thing should be like this. Okay, and the page number as pages as well. Okay, the pages too, you have to decide based on the number of pages of thesis should be there, which is suggested by you to, so this is suggested to you by the university. So you should always keep this also in mind before submitting your thesis. Okay, so this is the initial stage you have to plan for your draft thesis. Okay, you should start drafting your thesis in the initial stage itself. Okay, and once you have started the thesis, I'll tell you how to organize these draft thesis in your cloud storage. We'll meet you in the next video. Stay safe. Bye bye.